Good morning. Welcome to all of our attendees this morning. My name is Greg Oden. I'm the vocal chairman for LMEA. I'm excited to offer this time where we can all get together. I hope that everybody's staying safe. We are excited this morning to have with us Denise Eaton, who has ties to Louisiana. Her daughter lives in Baton Rouge, and she is the choral consultant and choral editor for Fischer Music Publications. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Denise Eaton.
Good morning, Louisiana. It's great to be with you today. Like Greg said, my daughter lives in Baton Rouge. She went to LMEA. I mean, she went to, what am I saying? She went to LSU and then just stayed there, met her husband, and taught for a while, taught music actually at a middle school, but now she gets to be a stay-at-home mom to my beautiful granddaughter, Sophie. So I'm thrilled to be here with you. I'm sharing with you to start off two handouts. The PDF is what we're really going to be working from. It is how you establish your process with purpose. And I've shared a song with you by Victor Johnson called Gloria Deo, because I'm going to kind of go back and forth with that. Now I can't see that you've got it, but I hope you're able to access that. And like Greg said, I'm the choral editor at Fischer and BriLee Music. But first and foremost, I'm a music educator. I taught high school for 29 years, and then choral methods at the collegiate level and for 7 years. So what brings me here today, though, with you is my journey along the way. I really could say, hello, my name's Denise. I am a former winger. I used to wing it when I taught. You know, I could be going, okay, what did we sight read yesterday? Where did we end up on For the Beauty of the Earth? I did not create lesson plans. I did not do score study. I literally felt like I knew more than they did, so I just kind of got by. So throughout the years, feeling very ineffective at times, I started creating more process. And so that's what I'm here to share with you today. And my goal with anything is that you get one idea that you can immediately implement when you go back to teach your classes after the holidays. And aren't you thankful that it's the holidays? I know all teachers are, because the challenges are enormous. So feel free to write some questions in the chat. Greg's going to monitor that. If I don't happen to see something, he will let me know. Also, at the top of your handout, the one that says Eaton's Order of Events to Successful Sequential Teaching, is my email is there. And I put it there on purpose because I welcome questions. I know what happens. We attend sessions and we go home and they go, no, wait, what did they do? What did they say? How did they mean that to go? So please, please, please ask questions. So my first question that I've asked myself, trying to separate all of this, is which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Well, I believe that's true with score study and lesson planning. And I have a day-long thing that I do on score study. And I'd be happy to share materials on that with you as well. But what we're going to talk about today is what you can do sequentially in your rehearsals. And really, this is all born out of score study. So let me go back to what I first said, though. This just did not happen overnight. So you get an idea and you run with it and you try to think through it, and hopefully it'll work for you. So I'm using my the PDF, Eaton's Order of Events. So I find that choral students are rhythmically inept. Let's just call the spade the spade. You go into a beginning band class, and they're generally like 1 and a 2E and a T and 4, and they're doing complex rhythms. And you go into a beginning choral class, and it's 1 and T and 4. And I think a lot of times we don't, I know, because as a teacher, I used to do the same thing, but I got better and better and better at it, that we don't do enough rhythmic building. And we can also, skill building, but we can also use the repertoire that we're using for that skill building. So the very first thing that I ever do when I score study a piece is look at the rhythm. Because if the rhythm is too complex for myself or for my students, I'm not going to do the piece. But I teach the rhythms. I really believe in extracting musical ideas out of the score and then teaching them and putting them back in the score. So this is what this really is all going to be about, how to do that and then put it back in. So the very first thing that I always do is I teach the rhythms before looking at the song and the patterns throughout. But I like for students to see everything they're going to see in the song, how it's going to look in the song, and if it's complex, I've got to do breakdowns before they actually get to the rhythm that's in the song. In my earlier days, when I used to be a winger, I used to just write the rhythm from the song on the board, and then I'd get upset because they couldn't do it. And instead of rote teaching it, I eventually started breaking it down. So if you look at your Gloria Deo piece, which I have in front of me, and I'm assuming you're able to look at it, the rhythm for the very, very beginning of the song, it's the A section, and it repeats. But if we were to look at it, it goes Gloria, Gloria, Gloria Deo. Excuse me, I'm fighting a sinus infection. Well, if I was doing that with my students, I know exactly what they'd do. If they just spoke it, they'd go Gloria, Gloria, Gloria Deo. You know, they'd do that. They'd accent the last eighth note. So my very first thing in looking at that is, well, first of all, we've got how the eighth notes are grouped, and we've got the stresses. So I would write out the rhythm, but I would eventually have them do it the way I wanted to do it when they sing the song, so that we are chanting the rhythm, perhaps chanting the words in rhythm, and like we want it in the song. So if I'm going to do the song, I'm going to teach it and two and T and two and T four, because eventually I want them to sing Gloria, Gloria, Gloria Deo. So I know from the very beginning how I want the music to go. So everything I'm doing, my process is taking me to the end of the learning that we're going to do. So my very first thing, again, I extract and I break down the rhythms. And again, this could be a whole worksheet of rhythms that doesn't just have these exact rhythms, but the very first thing is, in this song, you have to breathe with an eighth breath, and two, and T. Them seeing those types of things before they actually see the final rhythm is a huge deal for them, and to see what it looks like. This has 3 eighth notes grouped together. We've got a beam. Sometimes there's flags. Students need to see exactly what they're going to see in the music. If you're pulling it out from the music, that's what I'm saying. So you extract and you break down the rhythms for better understanding and skill development. And Another thing that it took me years to learn, and why, I do not know. Yes, chanting is very effective because students are more rhythmic when they chant. And two and T and two and T four. They're more rhythmic, but we're singers. So I like to do a lot of variation with that and have them sing. Excuse me, I am so sorry. My throat is just being weird today. So instead of just chanting, we could go and two and T and two and T four. And what you'll find at first when you ask them to sing it, it's like blee, 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 blee. They don't do it. They do not do it rhythmically like they do when they chant. So the first time you do that, you're going to be stunned because it's so unprecise. So I really urge you to do that. So then include emphasis on the strong beats, or in this case, keeping the text in mind. So again, this is all layering. So they're seeing it, they're chanting it, they're singing it, and then they finally get down to the actual rhythm that's in the song. Well, you've written it out in a way so that they see that they need to stress this and back off of this, stress this and back off of this. And I wrote all those marks on my rhythm sheets even, because I'm always thinking about where I want to go with the text. Because then the next thing you're going to do is you go to the song. They've learned this rhythm out of the song. You've got it the way you want it. You've got the right stresses, and they pick up their song. And again, the very first thing they're going to do is they're going to default back to the and two and T and two and T for automaton. Go, no, what did we just do with the sheet that we just looked at, or the rhythm that's on the board, however you choose to share it with them, and have them do it that way. Sometimes I use the text as a rhythm reinforcement. In this case, it would be very easy because it's Latin. If it was in English, it would be very easy as well. If it was in French or German, not even going there. That's a whole nother workshop. But so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to add your solfege. So you've got the rhythm down. You've reviewed it in the song. You've reviewed the rhythm in the song. Then you go, okay, now we've got our solfege to do. Well, a lot of, I would use, have my students write in their solfege sometimes, or we might sight read it, and then what they missed, they would write in, however you approach that. But with this, I would, again, they're going to chant their solfege in rhythm. So I'm going to just use the alto part for the very beginning of the Gloria Deo. So they'd go mi, so, fa, 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 fa. Well, I know that I want it to go Gloria, Gloria, Gloria Deo. So let's go back to that rhythm we just did. Remind them, and then they'll go mi, so, fa, 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 fa. And then they sing it. So you've already layered in, okay, this is how I want the phrase to go. I taught the rhythm the way I want the phrase to go. And I taught the solfege the way I want the phrase to go already. You already have the syllabic stress layered in. I would say when I'm adjudicating, I talk most about lack of syllabic stress, vowel unification, phrase direction, and dynamic contrast. I'm going to say that again. Vowel unification, syllabic stress, dynamic variance, and phrase direction. all of these things can be layered in sequentially in the process while you're teaching. So in this case, the dynamic is forte. So you could practice, let's do it piano, let's do it mezzo forte, let's do it forte. You can do that even while you're on solfege. You can do that even while you're chanting or singing the rhythm. You can keep hammering at what you want from the song and where you want it to go during the learning process. So when you add a solfege in, one thing that I put on my sheet is that we would be sight reading in the key of the song prior to introducing the song. That's another thing, so that it's just not like, okay, new key, here we go. Kids need to be immersed in the key, and every key, in my opinion, is a new language for them. F, G, and C are very common keys. That's easier for kids to make a quick adjustment to. But the key of E flat, Do lives on the first line in the treble clef. That's different for young singers. So introducing them to drills that are written out in a new key and sight reading in a new key is very, very, very helpful. So you extract, another way too is you can extract only the melodic material, the contour of the solfege. Something that I have done before. Again, you can use the song. You can use the song if you want to, but if you want to pull out things from the song, like in looking at the alto line of this, they sing mi, so, fa. Well, all they would really need is mi, so, fa. They just need to see what that looks like before they see it all here with all these black notes. So again, this would take more time for you, the teacher, to write things out, but I'm just telling you, the rewards are golden when you do that. So, and yes, you'd have to do it for 3 parts in this case, but with some good score study and prior work ahead of time, my goodness, you could teach this song in a couple days. So we pulled it out if we want to. If not, we're looking at the song. We chant our solfege and rhythm with emphasis on strong beats or syllabic stress. Sing text and rhythm and add emphasis on strong beats. Add syllabic and word stress, emphasizing desired vowels. Everything is always about, going back to the tall vowels that you want at the end of the game. Of course, in Latin, it's beautiful with solfege, if you use solfege, because they're already there. You've got the same vowels in solfege that you want with the Latin. So I teach Latin phrases all the time. I use warm-ups with Latin phrases from the songs, so that when I'm going to review it, when I'm teaching it, I can use the text as a review for the rhythm. I hope that makes sense. I'm telling you, y'all, I feel so sorry. I've got a sinus infection. I'm on drugs, and I feel like I'm talking in a big cave right now and not making much sense. I hope I'm making some sense to you. So you sing, now you're ready to sing on solfege. I'm at number 3. Sing on solfege with desired vowels and tone. So we always focus on our accuracy, and we add in our syllabic and word stress. And here's something that was just a total game changer for me, probably about year 10 as a teacher. Isn't that horrible? Year 10. So my process was always rhythm, solfege, neutral vowel. So from bridging the gap from solfege to text, I would go to a neutral vowel, lu, le, li, la, lu, whatever they'd sing on a neutral vowel, and then go to text. Well, there is not a final consonant to be found in anything that I've said so far. Solfege has no final consonants, a neutral syllable has no consonants. So final consonants, that is, word endings. So then when we get to the text, it was like everything, it was like starting all over. It was like a new song. So in the learning phase on solfege, this song is a horrible example because it's in Latin. And with the exception of very few words, everything ends in a vowel. But let's say you're doing something in English. It's, my God is a rock. And the solfege, so you put your final consonant of the English or whatever the text is, whatever the language is, you put that final consonant in as you're learning it on solfege. Once they've, let's say, the first couple times, no, they're just trying to get the pitches and rhythms going. But let's say they finally get that ready and you say, okay, now add your final consonants. Well, what that does is, it does several things. But first of all, it ends the sound and time, but it also fosters rhythmic breathing because, as we know, my God is a rock in a weary land. Well, in that case, there was a long breath. Rock in a leer. Sometimes it's rock in a weir. So sometimes the consonant release is the breath. Well, if you've not practiced that over and over and over as you're learning the solfege, learning it on solfege, it is truly relearning the song. So really think through that as you're looking at diction in your songs. I used to mark up the scores for my students, and I would change note values, and I'd make a quarter note an eighth, and over the eighth rest, I would actually put the final consonant that I wanted to hear there. And then they started getting more and more adept at it, and they wouldn't even have to see it. They would write it in, or they just knew to do it. So I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but I'm just telling you it can be a game changer. Another game changer in that process of going to text is, instead of going solfege, neutral, monotone text on the solfege. So you're adding in a step of just focusing on the text. And by monotone, so we'd be Gloria, Gloria, Gloria Deo, Gloria. We're not changing the pitches, just a monotone pitch, just isolating the text. I'm just going to take just a little break right here too to talk about something. And again, this all comes from a place of not being as effective as a teacher as I wanted to be earlier on. If we take the hierarchy of math, we learn to add, then subtract, then multiply, and then divide. I would say that many of us, myself included, I'm just as guilty, many of us go from addition to division, and we leave out all these steps, which are skill builders, which our students need in order to be successful musicians later on. So this process I'm talking about is really going from addition, subtraction, multiplication to division. So just another way to think about layering and process as you go through it. All right, so we were on number 3. We were singing on solfege. with desired vowels and tone. We're adding in syllabic and word stress, even though we're on solfege. And so there's another thing. How do you do that? Well, some teachers mark the score. Some teachers underline the syllabic stress. Some teachers have their students underline whichever word or syllable that they want to be emphasized. Some people like to put a box around it, lightly X out. Whatever the process is that you're teaching your students, either you do it for them or you have them do it. But so that they are really, really aware of what you want and what's going to sound best. Don't ever assume. We know what they say about assuming. Okay. And we talked about adding in the final consonants once they got all that. So again, it's layering. You don't go too fast. You don't get to division too fast. You go slowly and gradually add it in. Now, our next step is to sing on a neutral syllable with desired vowels and tone. Again, we're always going to focus on accuracy first. Always the foundation is accurate pitch and rhythms. From there, that's your first pillar. After that, you start adding in all the other stuff. So you can't talk about anything until the pitches and the rhythms are accurate. And you have, of course, with me, that goes with vowels as well. So you have great vowels. So now it's time to sing on a neutral syllable with desired vowels and tone. So you focus on the accuracy. You add in. Now, some kids, though, that by now they're thinking everything. I can do this. I can do this. I can add it in. Some kids can't. They have to go back to addition before they can go to the subtraction. So, Gloria, Lulu, 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 Lulu. That's the alto part. They've gone mi, mi, so, fa, 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 fa. Now they're going to go Lulu, Lulu, Lulu. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And then, of course, if there's final consonants, in this case there is not, but if there were, we could go Lulu, Lulu, Lulu. You could add in the final consonant if there was a word that ended in da. So I've talked about those final consonants. I'm going to just kind of go down a little rabbit hole here with that. Young students, young singers, middle school, high school, are horrible, I think, at final consonants. I mean, you can just work the dog out of it and you barely hear the final consonant. I would urge you, and I used to do this all the time, I would have a final consonant of the week. So that week with my warm-ups, we would add in the final consonants. So let's use a K. So we're going Zia, 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 Zia. So they add the K in after they sing the Zia, Zia exercise. And my goal to them would be to get them to offend me with that final K every time. So really, again, I'm going back to that exercise right there. The final K release was a rhythmic breath before the modulation up a half step. Y'all, that is hard. It's hard for me to do it. M's, N's, when they have to add a vowel after it, the shadow vowel, very, very difficult. So if you have a song that is highly text oriented and has a lot of final consonants that are going to require that type of energy, they've got to start doing that early on. You can't wait till you go to the words of the song. It just simply will not be there. So final consonant of the week many, many times will help with that. Okay, moving on. I just would like to try to get through all this and then to see if there's some questions you might have. So, monotone chant and sing the text with desired vowels and tone. So we just kind of talked about that. Gloria, Gloria, Gloria Deo. Let's, if you can go over to the B section, which is at measure 17, the Laudamus Te. Here's a real good one. We have, and I like this part because the notes are longer. Laudamus Te, benedicimus Te, adoramus Te, gloria camus Te. I apologize for my yucky sounding voice this morning. But the bottom line is, I'm using good vowels. I'm doing syllabic stress, and all I am worried about is the text. The text, the stress, and my vowels. I'm not worried about Laudamus Te, benedicimus Te, adoramus Te. See, that's too much for them. That's literally going from addition to division in one fell swoop. They're not ready for that yet. So, and repetition is your friend. That's a really good saying. Repetition is your friend. Going over and over it, the not drill and kill, but it's the creative repetition where the learning is fun, where the kids feel like, oh man, we did that 15 times, but it didn't feel like 15 times because you had something you added on each time. And that's what the process for me is about. So we sang on our neutral syllable. We monotone chanted and sang the text with desired vowels and tone. And if singing in parts, separate to different notes of a tonic chord or a chord that it reinforces a harmonic element in the song. So if we were doing this Laudamus Te section I just sang from, well, maybe there's a crunchy part of the song and I want to work on a dissonance. Or I just want to have a so, mi, do chord, or a fa chord, or a la chord, whatever you want to sing on. But hold them to singing that in tune. And that's another thing. Singing repeated pitches is extremely challenging for young singers, and some of us old singers too. So as you're reinforcing, you're kind of upping the ante when you add the chords to it. You might have noticed too, if the pitch changes and you're on a monotone, it still has to be inflected. So this song has Adoramus Te. Well, if I was monotoning, I would be Adoramus Te. They can't make two quarter notes a half note. They have to make the inflection of the pitch change. So then they're also aware that the pitch is changing. Okay, sorry. I go down rabbit holes. I'm very bad about that. So I'm on number 5 again. We've monotone, chant, and sing the text with desired vowels and tone. And if singing in parts, separate to different notes of the chord or a chord that reinforces the harmonic element in the song. Next, we're going to add in the syllabic and word stress, just like we talked about. And then repetition of the release of final consonants will most likely be needed. We're on words now. We've gone to this monotone thing, and we've added in some of those final consonants along the way when we did solfege and neutral, but that will usually need reviewing. Now, something I do not have on this sheet that I really need to amend the sheet so that it's there is phrase development. So this really goes back to number 2, to be completely honest and transparent with you. When you're singing on the solfege and you're doing your syllabic stress, which is huge right there, that's wonderful. You can also add in, where are we going in the phrase? And it's a very difficult decision for kids to make a lot of times. A lot of times I'll have them just sing through it, and I said, just put a light X where you felt your voice want to take you intuitively. Many times I would just say, put an X, measure 3, third beat, sing there, sing to there. That's where we're going. Phrase direction can be included in the learning process from the very, very beginning. Once they get the pitches and rhythms learned, and you've got that syllabic stress going, you can add that in, and you can add in dynamics. I'm going to make myself a little note here. I'm going to put DV. I'm going to talk about dynamic vocabulary in just a minute. Talk about, again, once it's like ready, what's something else you can add creatively for the repetition that's going to enhance the music making on the back end. Okay, so now we're on number 6. We're on the final on my list here. Sing on text, emphasizing desired vowels and tone, always focusing on pitch accuracy, making sure that the syllabic and word stress is correct. Now that we're on pitches, here's a great way for creative repetition. Parts. I like to do highs and lows. If it's SATB, I like to do soprano, tenor, alto, bass. I like to do outers and inners. I like to do genders, or I don't know if that's politically correct. I like to do soprano, alto, tenor, bass. However, what I don't like is kids not being engaged. So we're on words now, right? We've got to the words, and you can start layering this stuff in earlier as well. I'm just giving you some ideas for combinations here. Kids should always be actively engaged. Telling the bass section to think about their part while the sopranos are singing, I assure you they are not thinking about their part while the sopranos are singing. You know that, right? So I like to have humming and singing. And usually I make the hummers stand. And if we're even if we're on solfege, I might have them do their hand signs so I can tell. Okay, so let's say we're going to do the soprano 1 and the alto of this song. The soprano 2s would be the hummers. So they would be humming their part while the altos and sopranos are singing either their solfege or their words. But they're always engaged. Always engaged. So I've given you some combinations there. Things that I like to do when it comes to this type of thing. Okay. I'm looking at some notes. I think I do just have 45 minutes. I believe that is correct, is what I do have. And I'm doing pretty good. So my next thing I want to talk about that can help you along the way with your phrase development and I said phrase destination, and I talked about dynamics. Establishing a dynamic vocabulary, God, it is huge. I would say that here's 1 to 8 of our dynamics. This being for you would be fortissimo. This would be pianissimo. 9/10 of the ensembles I hear sing in this box right here in the middle. They don't explore the highs and they don't explore the lows of the dynamics. They just don't. So something that I found to be very, very effective with my singers, and when I would guest clinic and conduct, especially regional choirs, where many times it was just super, super loud. I would have my students, and I'm not going to stand up because I'm wearing shorts, I'm embarrassed to say, but I would have my students put their their hands right at, so this is my waist right here. Here's my waist. And we would sing, ooh, wah, wah. So that's for one, because I hate vowels more than anything. And we would start off with 1 and 2 and T and 4 and fa for 5. So we sang a 1 to a 5 with a subdivision in between. And to me, a 5 is a very, very healthy mezzo piano plus, almost a mezzo, well, probably mezzo forte. Okay. And then we would start at a 5 and go 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. And 8 would be all the way out here, extended all the way out here. Again, this is down here, though, down at your waist. So we go from 1, 1 and 2 and T and 4 and 5 and 7 and 8. My voice sounds horrible. And then we go backwards. Now, singing backwards is dreadfully difficult because they usually go 8 and 7. They go 8 and 2, you know. But what you're really working on over and over, besides good vowels, is getting them to understand the strength of their voice, what an 8 feels like. Or if you taught middle school, I just go to 5. I just go to 5. That's far enough for them to go. So middle school, everybody, let's just go to 5. So we're at a 5. But knowing what that fa of 5 feels like versus the 1, and what to get energized, buoyant, soft singing, I sing it as loud as you can. And then I say, okay, decrease the volume in half, but increase your energy. And then they do it again. So like it's like kinetic mezzo forte. Good, good, good. Increase your energy, decrease your volume. Increase your energy, decrease your volume. Keep repeating it. Start big, go soft. So the whole time, though, is that you keep the energy in the singing instead of just soft, wimpy singing. So there are 2 things there for you to think about. Building a dynamic vocabulary, which you can do every single day in your warm-up. Every single day in your warm-up. And learning to sing soft, energetic comes from full singing. It's that feeling of full. I believe you cannot refine a sound until you can make a sound. So, I mean, I taught high school boys choirs, 9th grade boys. Are you kidding me? Exhausting. 29 years. I'd be, okay, boys, we're going to vomit an O vowel today. I would make as much noise as you can on that O vowel. Put as much power as you can into that O vowel. If I can hear the sound, I can fix the sound. If I can't hear the sound, I cannot fix it. I can't fix its placement. I can't fix anything about it until I can hear it. So that's kind of my final rabbit hole that I went down with the dynamic vocabulary. And that, of course, ties in with the phrase direction that we talked about earlier. Okay, I'm going to see if there are any questions. I don't know if there are. Let's see.
Everyone has just been listening to you. There hasn't been too many questions coming from the gallery. Okay. Well, I mean, if you have questions, I would be more than happy to ask you. I know y'all, this session really is about a 2-hour session. I was just trying to encapsulate it, but really just to give you an idea if you struggle with the process of how to start a song, how to get it on words. This could give you some ideas from which to begin. I wanted to go back to and just kind of see. No one did the poll. Okay. Well, if you don't have any questions for me because you feel silly, you can always email me. But again, I would be more than happy to answer anything. I picked Victor's Gloria Deo because I thought it was very, very applicable for advanced middle school and high school, beginning high school, even advanced high school. Depends on where you are. It was just a good overall piece that has a lot of contrast in it that you might like.
And of course, with BriLee, you can have all the part dominants are online. So if that was something you were interested in looking at, it might work for you. Well, Greg, do we just call this a wrap?
Well, we want to thank you for doing such a great job. It was quite informative, and I know that our vocal people are sometimes not that vocal, but I know that they'll contact you. But we appreciate so much you being willing to do this, and it was great to be in your home and hear these wonderful thoughts.
Well, thank you so much, and I hope y'all have a blessed Thanksgiving.
To you as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, everybody, bye.
Bye-bye.